If we think about periods of civil unrest, of protest, of war, of destruction of architecture, of communities, of lives, we think not only about the images of that, but also the kind of the fear or the terror, the anxiety, the violence, the bodies moving in space. And so what we have in Epigraph Damascus is not only fragments of the city through these kind of architectural remnants and pieces that we see on the surface, but also the sort of incoherence and instability, cacophony that's conveyed in the brush marks and through the layers on top.
I've been working with printmaking for a long time, and it's evolved with me in making the paintings. Niels had wanted to work together on a project for a while, and one of the technologies in etching that he's really pushed into a different place is photogravure, being able to work on such large photogravures. So when Niels came to the studio, we had a big painting that was just basically on a white ground of architectural drawing that we had been working on for about a year and a half, of buildings of Damascus that had been bombed or destroyed. He came in and really carefully photographed that and reproduced just the line drawing from that, layer that onto a black and white photographic blur, and I did a whole layer of drawing on Mylar that we were able to fuse those and layer them into one photogravure plate. So this was a different way to bring different kind of thinking together into etching. And then on top of that, I worked with another layer of copper plates with spit bite and aquatint directly on the copper in front of the print of the photogravure plates. But then we did another layer of copper plates, and you see these kind of more purple marks, and then over here they become more red, and then here they become more green. And those marks, like here they become more green, those marks were done with right on the copper in response to this other plate. I worked in reverse in that way, and that became a very different language that then physically operates differently on the plate because it has a different form of texture when it's etched into the copper differently than the photogravure. It kind of alters as it moves through the piece and interacts with the blacks in very different ways. I've been working with the architectural drawing since the late 90s, and when I started to really try to build some type of social, political, metaphoric space in the painting, thinking about the built environment as a kind of construct of social and thought.
For me, bringing this into the collection during Collectors Committee in 2018, it was really important to have this piece because one is really able to see the variety of techniques that she's working with, the imagery that she's looking at in the painting, but also the advancement in printing techniques that she's always been very interested in investigating and interrogating and expanding throughout her practice. And Epigraph Damascus is really a masterwork in printmaking that not only shows us technically how she's able to do this, but also how it has a relationship in the painting, some of which are also in the collection.